All right, my dog's in the background, but we're just gonna go over this purchase agreement with Miss Krystal. I'm Courtney. How you all doing? Aqua Team Home Buyers. We're out here with the Rising Tides intern program. Krystal has a hot lead. We're gonna look over a purchase agreement just in case she locks it up. Let me pause. I don't like that. Anyways, I'm gonna pause. And all right, here we go, folks. All right, so Krystal, we're gonna go over the purchase agreement. The one I use is pretty standard. If you go to different states, I know this one works in Maryland, but if you go to different states, you definitely want to get this vetted by a real estate attorney because there may be different things based on states. Again, my puppy's in the background screaming and yelling. Come on over here, fat boy. Also, I guess that's the main thing. Make sure you have it vetted. You can have it vetted by attorneys that work in title companies because they're going to be the ones who are focused on real estate investing, and especially if they're friendly to wholesalers and understand that. So let's see if I can share my screen here. So we keep it pretty simple. We actually call it a purchase agreement because some people are wary of contract, so I try to stay away from contract. And it really has essentially simple about 3 or 4 parts, right? Tells who the agreement is between. Quite often I have the word assign or assigned here when it comes to my name. You don't have to have the word assigned in there as long as it does not say that the contract or agreement is not assignable. Any contract is assignable, but I just put there just to be specific. When I'm going over it with sellers, I don't necessarily have to go overemphasize that part. If they do ask, I do let them know. Sometimes when we're buying these properties, we put them in different entities. I have several different LLCs. Sometimes I'll partner with other folks. It really all depends as we move where we are in our phase. And so sometimes I'll assign it because I'm putting in a different legal structure. I'm in a different partnership, which is completely true. If they ask me to remove it, I'll still remove it, but as long as they don't ask me to not put assigned there. If they ask me to put not assignable, then there are still, and you still want to assign it, there are things you can do. You can purchase it yourself and then close with the other end buyer. That's called a double close, A to B, B to C closing, and check with your title company if it's worth it. And you also want to make sure it's a property that maybe you want to take down yourself and add to your inventory, right? So that's there right there. Right here, of course, you'll put the property address right there. And then you'll say the legal description will be provided by the title company. And you'll spell company properly. Glad I'm going over this. And then right here is where the conditions are. You'll put, it's cash for closing here. So let's say you're buying it for $200,000 or $300,000. I put cash at closing. It's 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever you put in there. You'll put what the terms are. Sometimes you'll be buying it under seller finance or subject to terms. You'll just put the terms there as well. And then right here, you put the earnest money. We try to put $10 to $100 down. Sometimes sellers ask, why are you putting so low down? Again, we're buying 3 to 4 or 5 properties a month, right? So if we're putting out $1,000 for all these properties that we are planning to close on, that kind of makes us a little dry. So if they really are big about it, then I will increase the earnest money, but I usually try to put no more than 100 down. And this just tells them that, hey, and you have to make sure you put that earnest money into your title company, because that what makes you have equitable stake in this contract and makes you the actual owner of the contract. Closing shall take place on or before. I like to put, depending on what state you're in and how things are going. For instance, Baltimore City is taking about 3 to 4 weeks to get their lien certs there. So I'll put 30-45 days, and then I'll just put this clause here, unless delays due to title work. And that gives me a little bit of a breathing room just in case some title issue comes back that we have to deal with. And again, this can adjust up or down depending on the situation, all right? Escrow, it's important to say that the title company of the buyer's choosing, that's us, gets to choose, or the licensed company below. And sometimes I'll put the ones that I'm working with. I usually have 3 title companies that I work with, and it just depends on what they can do and how busy they are and all that good stuff. But I like using them. I like to have it in there so I don't have to recopy and paste, and I'll adjust it as needed. Closing terms, it means this basically says that we're going to pay all the closing costs, but that the seller agrees that any of the funds from his proceeds he'll pay, or they'll pay all the liens or encumbrances. So in back taxes, so she or they are responsible for that. Again, this says that this agreement is assignable, so it's stated clear there. If you have to remove that for whatever reason, you can do that. Access to the property says the seller can have access to the property. That means me or my partners, my agents, my assignees, my contract lenders, appraisers prior to closing, and that I may market the property prior to the close of escrow. So let's say we're trying to get renters in there beforehand. I might be able to show it to renters, or if I'm going to partner and assign it, I can show it to my partners. And this gives us 10. I put 10 business days, which is pretty long. Mostly people want 5 or less, but I put 10 business days because it gives me plenty of time, and especially now during these COVID, it gives me a chance to schedule with the contractors and all. And I retain the right to cancel during that time with no recourse. If it's rented out, we get the deposits. The damage deposits will be transferred to us at closing. This just says that they have to provide the lease to us, and outlining they need to outline how the rent's being paid and all that good stuff, and that the rent will be prorated between the buyer and the seller. So like if we close on the 3rd, then if they were paid rent on the 1st, then we get that money from the 3rd to the 1st to the end of the month sent to us. So it's kind of nice to actually close in the 1st of the week, so that you can get the money from the start with the month rent already in your bag, or your buyer can do that. This says it's sold as is. This is attorney fees. If we take legal action, then whoever wins is entitled to reasonable compensation for their attorney fees. This is in Baltimore, just a disclosure clause that says we know that there could be lead in there, and that we waive the right to this inspection. This states that this agreement, that's the entire agreement between the parties, and that this is what it is. And a contract is a legal obligation for both parties. Sellers certified they're not under contract with anyone else. This is helpful so that you don't have buyers or sellers trying to shop your contract around and have multiple contracts out there. I got that from the awesome Kathy London. She helped me add that provision. Shout out, Kathy. And then sometimes depending on it, urgency, you want to create urgency sometimes. So I may put like, hey, we can hold this for 3 weeks, or we can hold this for a week, or we can hold this for a month, depending on the temperature of the seller. Time usually kills all deals. So sometimes I will put that there. More often than not, I don't put something there because it's like we're about to get the deal signed. Have my name signed. Since I'm a member of my LLC, I'll put member there, and then I'll have them sign and date it. And then I'll either have them add that there. And usually I'm doing this over electronic sign. So I'll just use HelloSign to fill it in. You can use DocuSign or anything like that. And that's pretty much the purchase agreement right there. Any questions, Krystal?
It's straightforward.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's go rock it. We got it, and we're gonna rock and roll. All right.